Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is March 15th. Today's episode is going to cover the latest protocol update that has a whole bunch of interesting news. We're going to be talking about the Ethereum ETFs, we're going to be talking about Devcon, and let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So the first thing is here, we've got this update from Mav, and he says, hey everyone, there are now 3 governance votes live at vote.rocketpool.net, with the latest RPIP 40 for the GMC in particular needing some more love to ensure it reaches quorum. And he says Ken will host tomorrow's community call. That's going to happen on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So he says, come along to hear the DeFi opportunities available from Morpho guest speaker. Then he says the Denver Liftoff recordings are available on YouTube. And finally, he says the bi-weekly update is available too. And is that a little, what emoji is that? Oh, newspaper emoji. Okay, yeah. So let's get into the bi-weekly update. And this time is actually like one of the most depressing bi-weekly updates I've read in a long time. And I'll tell you why that is at the beginning. So he says the protocol update over the last 2 weeks. So RETH declined, supply declined 1.5%, which is to 550,145, which is an annualized decline of 39%. And then pending active mini pool count declined 1.7% to 25,673. That's an annualized decline of 44%. Node operator count increased 0.6% to 3,586, which is annualized growth of 17%. Now, the node operator count number is actually kind of dubious, and the reason for that is because that is a number that never goes down, because once you start a node, you can never actually close a node. It just stays there forever. You just stop using it, basically. So that number is an up-only number, which is why when people ask me like how many node operators does Rocket Pool have, I say it's probably likely to be somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500. And with the mini pool count going down and the RETH supply going down, it's likely that, you know, the node operator, the true number of node operators is also be going down. So people have been withdrawing their nodes. So there's a smart node update here, 1.11.9 recommended update. So this was mandatory for people who hadn't updated before Deacon, and this has the latest version of MEV boost in there as well. Now there's the R&D stuff. So there's news of the team. They participated in ETH Denver and Denver Liftoff. And there's Houston launch date was announced as May 6th, which was actually really cool news. And then with governance, we had 2 votes regarding the EigenLayer integration, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Potential new tokenomics options were presented during Denver Liftoff, and then there's information there. The grants GMC round 11 is live until April 7th, which is the next round, and the GMC is currently discussing round 10. So we should have information for that in the next couple of weeks, actually. After that, we have feedback was sought on the merchandise store art contest. We already covered the art contest as well. Actually, that might be nice to have a look at with more votes coming through. It says there's a discussion about funding the Discord support channel, which is really interesting. And the latest GMC Treasury report is available as well, which we covered on Rocket Fuel. With integrations, there was talk about having to migrate on Balancer. On Arbitrum, they moved to a new pool. There's now a service called Strike Finance, which is supporting RETH. Please do your own research. The new staking index uses RETH as a component, that's staking rewards. And then we have more DeFi opportunities with the RPL DeFi update. And then with media and marketing, there were lots of things happening at ETH Denver, which is covered by this episode of this update. So there was a lot going on around there. The Denver Liftoff recordings were made available. The video guide about staking with Rocket Pool was created. That's Rocket School that we talked about on Rocket Fuel as well. And then Ken and Superfizz went on Bankless Academy to talk about their new staking module. Rocket Pool TVL is increased and now it's gone above $4 billion. That's actually an old number and it's probably gone down. One of the reasons why the TVL's gone up is because the Ethereum and RPL prices increased. And as those prices increase, then the TDL, of course, is measured in dollars, so that goes up in accordance with that. It says there was a lot of content created about Rocket Pool by Twitter KOLs recently. So here we have a whole bunch of different accounts here talking about Rocket Pool, and then you can follow the Rocket Pool intern to stay up to date with all of those news. Anthony Sassano talked about Rocket Pool during the Daily Way. A restaking protocol created some content about Rocket Pool, and then RPL has new listings, but please do your own research first to get that information. So let's start with actually the votes that are going on. Let's just give you a quick summary of where we stand. So both of the eigenlayer votes, of course, have reached quorum. One of them, to actually go ahead with the research is very strongly likely to, the research is likely to go ahead. However, the scope of the research is a lot tighter, and that can swing, within the next 4 days until the vote closes. The GMC vote has gotten a lot more votes as well, and it's nearing quorum now. So it's 82% of quorum. We just need another couple of big voters, and we'll be above quorum here because we need 1,200 more votes. And Waldorf voted for this. He says GMC says help, and I see no downside. Easy vote. So that is good. And we just need, if Joe was to vote, then that would basically take us pretty much over the line. But Joe hasn't voted yet, so we need Joe, maybe one more voter as well to help us get over the line with this. But that was really good to see. And then we had Denver Liftoff, of course. I already talked about this on Rocket Fuel before, that the videos are now live on the Rocket Pool Twitter account. Let me just close this so you can see, that the videos are now all available. So if there's any of the talks that you want to follow, there are 16 talks in total that were given during that 1-day event. So it was very much like a TED talk, back-to-back talks stuff, which was really cool. Let's have a look at the merchandise store vote. So number one is this Rocket Pool t-shirt, the pink one. That's cool. And then I'm a smooth operator as well. That's number 2. The word art is number 3. And these t-shirts here about this decentralized staking is well ranked as well. The ASCII art, that's doing well. This decentralized staking protocol one is doing well as well. I know you have to be watching the screen to see the different images, but there's lots of like orange, lots of rocket emojis, lots of astronaut, lots of rocket symbolism, lots of astronaut symbolism, and also lots of like smoothies and like pools, basically. So those are the kind of images that are being evoked in these designs for the most part, and you can check those out. Like the one that I like this word art one, but it's not got very, very many votes. So I hope that gets made into a t-shirt by it. So Dr. Doof says, you may notice that there's 2 entries above that are grouped. I originally thought that was front and back, but they're separate entries, and I cannot edit the poll anymore. If you like either one, vote for the group. And yeah, so we're going to get some really cool swag coming in from all this stuff. So I'm really excited about seeing that. Okay, moving on from the bi-weekly update, we're going to move on to some ETF news here. So the ETF, of course, is something that people are getting more pessimistic about. The Grayscale ETH trust is now, I think, at 18% discount, or even the 20% discount, compared to like an 8% discount it was at last week or the week before. So it seems like the market's kind of pricing that in. However, there's still a lot of things that are happening. Not all of it necessarily is positive, but there's I think it's enough to like keep you all up to date with it. So here we had a post from Nate Garassi, who said, from market perspective, part of me believes that this market size for spot ETH ETF is potentially as big, if not bigger, than the spot Bitcoin ETFs, and that's from Van Eck. And then Nate says, thus began the spot BTC versus ETH ETF war. So the quote is, the world of investors who are looking for cash producing assets is massive, and ETH obviously generates fees that goes to the token holders, explains Kanade. Even if you don't have an ETF that can offer staking as part of it, it's still a cash producing asset. But I think ETH could make more sense as an asset to more people than Bitcoin does. So Bitcoin, as you all know, has no flows, right, in terms of like yield. There's no staking rewards, there's no fee burn mechanism, any of that kind of thing. However, ETH has both of those. So even if, Valek here saying that even if ETH doesn't, even if there's no staking ETH ETF, the fact that ETH is deflationary asset because of its fee burn means that there'll be a whole class of investors who will be interested in ETH in a way that they're not interested in BTC. So this was kind of like setting the stage for, why the ETH ETF might adopt a as a unique part of the market that the BTC one doesn't. And then we got this letter that Alexander Griev here shared from 2 US senators. So this is Senator Jack Reed and Senator LaFonza Butler. So these two senators wrote to the SEC saying, don't do any more ETFs, like don't do any more crypto ETFs, and try to make it as difficult as possible for them to recommend the BTC ETFs that are out there. And they gave their reasoning, which was kind of stupid. Yeah, it wasn't good. So the backlash that they got from the crypto community was actually quite strong. Here Nate again says, where was this letter before the SEC approved ETH futures ETFs or approved BTC futures ETFs or allowed MicroStrategy to turn itself into a BTC proxy or a blessed IPO of coin where anyone could buy Doge, or allowed over-the-counter trading of GBTC where grandma could buy a broken product in her IRA. So, this is huge criticism. Like, why are you saying this now when all these systems have already been in place? You should have been saying this years ago, when, your words might have actually counted something, but even then they likely wouldn't have because there's no legal restriction for this. And then Paul Grewal here, who is the chief legal officer of Coinbase, did a breakdown like in 7 tweets about this these letters, this letter that came out, and he says, respectfully, senators, the evidence points exactly the opposite way. We have discussed the analysis with SEC staff. We'll be happy to do the same for you and any other policymakers who have questions. He says many digital asset commodities, not just Bitcoin, demonstrate market quality metrics that exceed even the largest traded equities. So here you can see that each spot market is deep and liquid. There's only Tesla and Nvidia who have more trading volume than ETH does. And the BTC, of course, is above that. Well, I'm just talking about ETH here. And it says only one S&P 500 stock has a lower adjusted bid-ask spreads, and that is Apple. It says, and when compared to Bitcoin, ETH's futures and spot market demonstrates exactly the same type of high and consistent correlation that would enable market surveillance. It says, we explained all this in our recent comment letter to SEC. It says, crypto is an important building block in updating our financial system for everyone. And then this is a really interesting piece of information here that Eric put out. He says, Paul, first of all, thanks for being based. He says, a question for you. If the SEC were to deny the ETH ETF based on poor reasoning, do you see a similar legal battle playing out like BTC? And Paul says, yeah, one word, yes. So I think this is really interesting because it looks like, if the SEC deny the ETH ETFs here, they're going to get sued. And one of the things that I haven't seen people talk about so much is that, the current SEC might not care so much about getting sued, in the sense that they're not necessarily the ones that might have to deal with it. Like if, the Democrats lose the election, then it'll be a brand new SEC that comes in, and, there'll be a Republican-led SEC instead of a Democrat-led SEC, and it might be that they just withdraw the case or like just approve it on the spot. And then another thing that could also happen is, if the Democrats do come back in, then they'll deal with it in the beginning of the next, presidential cycle instead of at the end of it. That way they could kind of kick the can down the road. So I'm not sure, like I'm a little bit more pessimistic now of the ETH ETF getting approved. I wish I had Anthony Sassano's bullishness about the approval chances, but he is right though when he says that if it does get approved, like expect fireworks like no other, because right now the market's pricing in that it's not going to get approved. So if you thought the Bitcoin move was strong after approval, wait until you see what happens with Ethereum. Okay, next we have news about the Devcon conference has taken place in Thailand this year. So there's a tweet thread saying yesterday was the Deacon upgrade, and today we're thrilled to announce the Devcon Southeast Asia venue. So Devcon is a 4-day conference that's happening in one venue between December 12th and 15th, and Devcon week will span the entire week of the 9th to the 17th. So they've got their blog post here. Let's have a quick look at it and see where the venue is. So the venue is the Queen Sirikit National Convention Center, and that's where the conference is taking place. So I think the Rocket Pool team will be there, and I think there'll be a whole bunch of Rocket Pool community members who will be attending as well. So if you're interested, make sure you're booking your travel. There's information about how to get tickets in this blog post as well. So go and check it out and find out what's going on. I don't think I'm going to be there, but maybe I will. Who knows? And finally, we're going to end today's episode with just me letting you know that we've got a new episode of the Weekly Orbit out. These episodes come out every Friday. So if you are not subscribed to Pat's channel, which is the Weekly Orbit, you can find a link for that in the description below. So you can go and give him a follow if you're not doing that already. But every Friday there's a new Weekly Orbit episode that comes out, and the Weekly Orbit normally talks about like price action that week and some of the top news stories from that week as well. So if you're interested in that, you can go and give it a watch. Anyway, thank you all for listening, watching, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have lovely weekends ahead, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.